Welcome to another episode of Silence is Golden. I'm Simon Kelly.
And I'm Troy Dean.
And today what we're going to be covering is systemizing your WordPress business. We'll also be taking a look at Zach Gordon is going to be holding a free JavaScript for WordPress conference. MailChimp have a landing page builder. What's new with funnels for Beaver Builder, and learn what makes a perfect proposal. Stay with us.
How good was that intro? How good was that intro?
That was amazing. Yeah,
that was just porn.
Rock and roll.
Hey? That's fantastic. That's great.
So that was done in a week. Like, we did that walk last week.
Correct.
And then I didn't really achieve anything in the last week, and that's been done. So
that's right.
It's a pretty amazing team.
After last week's episode, I just got to say, I just got to pinch myself here. Ow! Yep, I'm here. After last week's episode, Max shot us that footage of us walking into the studio. Max has shot a whole bunch of other footage over the last, 3 months of us building the studio out, 6 months of us building the studio out. We gave all that to Adrian, who edited the intro together. We have the station logo right there. We have the beautiful lower thirds. We've got music. This is like, I'm a little bit emotional.
When did we even start? Like December? Well, it's just amazing.
I was explaining in 2016 when I was in San Francisco. I drove up to Petaluma and I visited Leo Laporte's studio at This Week in Tech up there, and I walked in and I went, I'm home. This is what I want to build in Melbourne. And we're solving one problem at a time. And what people watching this won't realise is the problem we've solved today is that Ray is a genius and has managed to be able to play the bumpers and the intro and the outro so that we can actually see them and hear them here in the studio. Doesn't sound like a complex problem, but trust me, it is. That one little problem that we're solving every week as we iterate. So I'm just feeling a bit emotional.
There's only so many inputs and outputs in the live stream box, and then the MacBook Pro or Air over there has one. So
that's right.
To be able to get that going in and out all the time without Ray killing everyone, I'm very impressed.
I love that Ray just made a little lower third thanking himself.
Oh, he has that ready, I think. I don't think he made that. That was probably the first thing he did.
Oh, fantastic. It's bloody great to be here, and I've got to tell you, it is quite amazing watching your dream come to life in front of you. You know, it's fantastic. Big message is just don't quit. Things get tough, just keep going. Don't quit. Anyway.
Just go live and solve it.
Just go live. Correct. Just go live and solve it on air.
Get an awesome team and go live.
What's going on, Simon Kelly?
Cool. So Zach Gordon is holding a free virtual WordPress for JavaScript conference.
Before we get into the news, we should probably say that we're going to visit the news.
Stuff that happened.
That's what happens when you've only had the bumpers a week and you forget that you've got bumpers. So there we go. Now you can talk about Zach's virtual JavaScript course.
Buddy. Yeah. We're going to have to get these segues sorted. So yeah, free virtual WordPress for JavaScript conference on June the 29th by Zach Gordon. So that's going to be pretty cool. He said he's been wanting to do a conference for a while, and he's been talking to a couple of other companies about how to actually put this together. So it seems like it's been pretty exciting. Talk to people like Human Made and WP Campus who have experience doing online events. So he's hoping everything goes smooth. So that should be interesting. MailChimp have a landing page builder as well, which I thought was a really surprising move in the way that they really don't iterate too often, I don't think. MailChimp, they've got what they do and they kind of leave it like that. So adding landing pages in was just it makes sense for an email marketing system, but I just think it was, it just kind of dilutes their core offering a bit. But it also means that lots of people who are in with MailChimp are going to be using less tools because they'll be using MailChimp for their landing pages as well. So really basic, but it's definitely going to do the job.
Why do you think they've done this? Why do you think, I've got my theories, but why do you think they've built a landing page builder?
Because they're really moving into marketing automation, and if you don't have a landing page as part of your marketing automation to get people to sign up and have a good experience when they're signing up, you're just not going to be playing with the others in that space. So I really think that that's the beginning of more things to come in that way from MailChimp.
Do you think that if landing pages were, because let's just take a step back here, right? In order to build an email list, you've got to have some kind of attention of people online, right? So you've got to be either YouTubing or have a podcast or have a website or a blog. Wouldn't it just make sense to build your landing page on your blog? My theory is that building landing pages, even on something like WordPress, and Wix and Squarespace are not really set up for this either, that building a high converting landing page to attract email addresses is still pretty difficult in something like WordPress, as much as we love it. If there wasn't a need for this, MailChimp wouldn't have built it, right? Have you used it, by the way?
No.
Oh, there we go.
Nope. But I'm definitely going to give it a shot.
Wonder if it's any good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty basic.
Yeah.
I like it how they've got products really like integrated into their system now, so you can like add your WooCommerce products or your Shopify products, so you can place products within the landing page, and it's pulling from your actual website.
Beautiful. Well, they are really about. I mean, MailChimp a little while ago kind of really pivoted to being the email marketing platform for e-commerce, right? That's really their focus, is helping you sell more stuff on your Shopify store or your WooCommerce store.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting.
That happened. What else happened?
Coming back to marketing automation and funnels, Coach Mike from WP Elevation has launched Beaver Funnels, which is a way to build marketing funnels using Beaver Builder. So it's a way to visualize your funnels and makes for an easier experience if you build websites using Beaver Builder and you also build landing pages and marketing funnels. It connects the two together quite nicely. So definitely worth having a look at, especially if you use Beaver Builder.
Beautiful. And just a quick note to self, don't Google Beaver Funnels. Not sure what you'll find, but just go to wplinks.io/Beaver Funnels, which is the short link down there on the bottom of the screen. Don't Google Beaver Funnels.
That's the
Could get
safe
yourself
for work
into
link.
trouble. That's right. That's the safe for work link. And by the way, we now own wplinks.io.
That's pretty cool.
Good domain, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good
Very
one.
happy
Easy
with
to remember.
Brett Drinkwater, by the way, he used the MailChimp landing page last week for a client. Very basic at this stage, he said. Well, it's probably a minimum viable product, I imagine. So it's first version. Fiona Smallwood is fangirling, crazy fangirling over how good the show is looking. Thank you very much, Fiona, for joining in the show. And David Murren says, today what we'll be covering is working with audio. That's right, David. He obviously saw the first version of this show that lasted 2.5 seconds where there were no microphones. Thank you, David.
One of our best episodes, that one. Yeah. So Better Proposals put together the 2017 proposal report. And it's nice and short. It's a really beautiful looking page, and it talks about different things that creating better proposals, such as should you put a cover on your proposals? They've had a lot of proposals come through their system, so they're using this data to actually put this together. It says when it comes to covers on the proposals, it's no surprise they convert 44% better than not using a cover.
Wow.
And there's lots of useful stuff like that.
I'm always curious about these stats, right? Because the only way really to test that is to submit the exact same proposal to the same client for the same project, one with a cover and one without a cover, which would be weird for the client. Like, how would you say, hi, Paul, here's the proposal for the $15,000 e-commerce store we talked about. Here's a version of the proposal with a cover and one without. Which one do you accept? That's really the only way. I mean, I like Adam and I like Better Proposals, but I'm trying to pick flaws in their math here because you don't know what was in those proposals that had covers.
Yeah.
There might have been some other really amazing stuff in those proposals. So I'm curious as to how they come up with that kind of. I'm always skeptical about these.
It'd be tricky. It'd obviously be tricky to do with the same person, but I mean, there's not many stats you can do where you've got the same person and you can just bombard them with different stuff to get the right thing. So I mean, if it was.
Do you want to go out for dinner?
What?
Or do you want to have dinner at a movie?
I'd love to.
There you go.
Let's do it.
Dinner work. No need for the movie, just straight to dinner. There we go. Small sample size, not scientifically, mathematically, statistically significant.
1 out of 1.
It was a split test, that's right.
1 out of 1, sorted. So I think if they were using the same proposal and like taking bits out and we're trying with a big sample size, then that would work. But I don't think that's happening either. So yeah, definitely interesting. Yeah.
Brett Drinkwater says 99% of statistics are made up. Look, I've told you 1,000,000 times to stop exaggerating, Brett. Too many variables, says Matthew Farrelly. That is correct. Ambrose, Robert, and Roby have just joined the live stream. Hey guys, thank you for joining in. Welcome to the show.
Pretty excited that Roby's on board. I sent him some love hearts emoji the other day.
Yeah, Roby just joined WP Elevation, yes.
Yes,
Awesome.
Snuck in the back, yeah.
Welcome to the cult, Roby. We'll be sending you a bottle of Kool-Aid in the mail very shortly. Cool. So that's what happened. So, sorry, I don't mean to detract from the Better Proposals report. Was there anything else interesting in the report?
Yeah, there's a bunch of things that I thought. Let me just have a little scroll. So, something. So, talking about PDFs and actually sending a PDF in versus having it delivered online. And they were saying that it's it turns out if your proposal is saved and printed, you have 45% less chance of converting the deal.
Wow.
Now, for my own proposals, personally, I don't actually find that at all. I find that if I've got both, then it's good, right? Like, so with Better Proposals and other proposal software I've used in the past, it's delivered online, but then the client has the option of being able to print it. That seems to work quite well for me if they've got the option. And I love seeing that they've printed it.
In my experience, if there is more than one decision maker in the process, if there's a board that you need, a lot of non-profits need to get their proposal in front of a board and get the board to approve it, then definitely a printed PDF would be beneficial. It goes around the boardroom. One thing you also might want to include, if there are many decision makers in the process, you might want to include what's called an executive summary, which is just a one-pager, which is basically like the too long didn't read version of the proposal. It just outlines the key points and the price and the timeline.
Yeah.
That's not in their report, by the way. I just made that up. That's not something from Better Proposals. But
And the word you just used there, price, what Better Proposals found was that using the word investment is much better.
I wonder where they got that idea from.
It's a good one, isn't it?
It is a good one. It is a good one. Awesome. Well, that's about covers the news, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. But there are a couple of things that irked me a bit this week, so...
Oh, go on. Tell me about it, stud.
This pisses me off.
Beautifully rehearsed, wasn't it?
We got 1 out of 2.
Beautifully rehearsed.
So we're talking about systemizing our WordPress business, right? So there are so many tools coming out all the time, and I actually saw within the WP Elevation member group that there's some new one called like Talify or Toolify or some AppSumo deal. And quite a few people jumped on this. And no offense to you guys or anything like that, but there will be more. There's going to be more of these tools, and they're going to come up all the time, and they're all going to promise the world. They're going to help solve all the problems in your business. But that's the problem in your business, is that you're jumping between all of these different tools. Now you could just use, businesses worked before these tools were invented, right? Like people were running businesses, they had processes, they had big teams, and they weren't using Talify or Asana or System Hub or all these other things that are amazing that help us. So my thoughts on this are, you need to get your systems right first, even just on paper. Just pick something nice and simple, create your systems, and then that's what you need to do first. You need to delegate that. You need to get a result from that before you go into these tools. So what really pisses me off is all of these tools promising the world and they're all going to solve these problems, and it just makes everyone think that they're missing out and that it's true, that their problems are going to get solved, which they aren't.
That's absolutely right, 100% what Simon said. In fact, there was a thread yesterday in a Facebook group, the official ClickFunnels Facebook group, which I'm a member of, and this guy was saying, I'm 23 years old and I am overwhelmed with all this stuff going on in my business, and I don't seem to get any traction, and I keep buying all these courses and all these software products, and I just chimed in and said, that's because you don't know your why, dude. You've got to figure out why you're doing this first, and then all of your other decisions get really easy. Same kind of principle here. Once you've got your processes down, then you can go looking for the right tool to put your processes in so that you can train your team to follow those processes. But if it's just you, or you and maybe one other person or 2 other people, just do it in Google Docs, man, or Dropbox, or piece of paper. Take a photo of it and email that photo to your friend and say, here's how I do this thing, right? The internet marketers and software marketers and course marketers are very good at using FOMO and scarcity to get you to buy their thing, and he's right. Buying a new tool is not going to help you write your processes. Write your processes first, then go find the tool to put the processes in. I think I just repeated what you said.
No, even better though.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 costs when it comes to getting new software and tools, right? The cost of getting the thing, the cost of learning the thing and implementing it.
Yes, and there's an opportunity cost, which is even bigger, which is the cost of not actually doing what you should be doing, which is documenting your process so that you can get a repeatable and predictable result for the next client.
And that's And
repeatable and predictable result for the next client. You can tweet that if you like. You have my permission. And that is what you should actually be doing. That's the real work that you should be doing when systemizing a business.
That's right.
Not chasing shiny rabbits down rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Confucius say, man who chased 2 rabbits catches none.
Let that sink in for a bit.
Go hungry.
So, speaking of shiny rabbits, what about shiny unicorns? Something that pisses Ray off is in Asana, there's a little thing you can turn on and the unicorn flies across the screen. I said, I love it. And Ray's like, what? And he got a bit upset before the show. So
yeah, I don't like it either. It's unnecessary.
I'm down with it.
It's unnecessary. You don't, listen, if you need a dopamine hit for ticking off a task, then you got bigger problems than I can help you with, sunshine.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. I don't care.
Yeah. You can turn them off,
I'm
by the
down with
way,
that.
Ray. You can turn the unicorns off.
I specifically turn them on.
That says kill the unicorn with an AK-47.
Shoot
the unicorn, that's right. Right.
Screen just went green,
We've got some questions from the Facebook group, do we? About systemizing. Do we have questions this week, or are we just going to make them up?
Do we have a bumper that goes into the questions?
We do. In that case,
what does it look like?
Let's get unstuck.
Let's get unstuck.
It's a very versatile voiceover bloke again, isn't he?
It's
very
pretty
good at that.
Yeah, we do have a few questions.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay. So, Roby Lawrence says, what are some tips for creating canned response emails that don't sound like canned response emails?
Can I answer this?
Sure.
Thanks, because I'm going to anyway. When Kath Hughes, who just joined the show, hi Kath, when Kath Hughes, who's one of our coaches now, when she first joined WP Elevation, she would send me emails saying, Dear Automated Troy, I know this is a robot, blah, 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 but I have this question, blah, blah, blah. And so I would send an email back saying, personally, I would actually respond to an email. I know it's a radical idea, and it actually costs me some of my valuable time to have a conversation with a potential customer. I know, crazy idea, right? I would email Kath and say, Dear Automated Kath, this is not a robot, and I really am here, and blah, 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 blah. All my love, Automated Troy. And so we had this kind of, email thread going, Dear Automated Troy, Dear Automated Kath. So when I use canned responses, I call it out that it's a canned response. I say, hey Paula, yes, this is an automated email, but I wanted to get back to you and let you know, blah, 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 blah. So just name it, call it out, be completely transparent about it, and then people are okay. And you can even have some fun with it like we did in one of our previous launches where somebody was on one of our chats and said, oh, I'm sure you guys are robots. And Ray said, yes, we are robots. Blip, 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 blop. And it was, what's his name? Sam Crow in the States, right, who was like, you guys are so funny. And he actually had conversations with every team member before he decided to join the program. So you can actually just have a bit of fun with it, name it, call it out, be completely transparent. That's my approach. Yeah. Hey, people are joining in here. Amy Keys has joined, Belinda White, Natalie Matern, Paul Bomers, Kath Hughes and Greg Corhan and Rex Stevens are all watching the show. Hey guys.
Awesome. G'day,
nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
So just a little extra bit with that question from Roby.
Go on then.
So you've got canned emails, but then you've got automated emails. So the one you were talking about was automated as well.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your canned ones, and you want to have like a library of emails you can send to people when you need to. So Roby, you try to take the content out of the framework of the email that you're sending. And what I mean by that is if you're going to send an email that you probably send again multiple times, write the email just to the person. Write the email as if you normally would. But then take a look at the email and just pick out the way that you've structured it, and then just replace the words that you've used with the person's name with like, insert a little story about their business and put that in square brackets. So then next time you pull out that canned email, you get instructions about what to do. Now that's going to save, not a huge amount of time, but what it does is it stops you sitting there thinking, oh, now what should I write in what order? You just go, oh yeah, I'll use that exact same framework, not the exact same content, and that will help me build the email. So that's how I do my canned emails, and it just helps me think less because I don't have much brain power left.
Just make sure you don't actually send an email with square brackets, insert interesting story about their business still in the email. I maybe have done that at some point in the past. Or maybe I sent a Facebook message to someone the other day that said, hey John, comma, hey Brad, comma, because I copied and pasted the message to Brad and then didn't remove his name anyway. Imogen Allen says, hey guys, loving the show, great job. Amy Key says, Mixmax lover over here. So Amy's using Mixmax for canned responses. Melanie Adcock says, so glad I didn't miss the show. Christina Hawkins from Texas is also here. You know, Christina lives in a place called Sugarland.
Yeah.
In Texas.
That's pretty cool.
Sugarland.
The land of
Very
sugar.
sweet place to live. And Natalie Matern says, hey, how you doing? All right, hey, I think we should probably get into systemizing your WordPress business, which is the main topic we're going to talk about this week. So let's dive in.
Time to dig into the gold nugget.
All right.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah. So, you know, why would we want to even systemize?
Well, because Christina Hawkins says Sugarland is the sweetest place on earth. Because the reason you want to systemize, look, here's where this all started for me, right? When I went back out as a freelancer in 2012, so I shut down my agency in 2012. It's a very well documented story. I was just on a different page as my business partner, and I wanted to go and do my own thing. So we shut down the agency. I went back out as a freelancer, and I was speaking at a couple of conferences up in Sydney, and I knew that I'd be speaking to a room full of 150 or 200 small business owners, and I knew that I would have some leads at the end of that conference that I would then have to try and onboard, right? So I knew that I knew how to do some things, and I knew that I didn't know how to do other things. And I knew that I wouldn't remember the difference between what I knew and what I didn't know and what I needed help with, right? So I just started documenting when a client, for me, it's like if-then, right? If client does or says this, then you do or say this. It's basic, you know, computer logic. It's probably my sort of development brain background that put me in that mindset. And so I just started documenting this kind of like these if-then statements. If client does this, then do this. If they ask this question, send them this email. If they ask this question about Google Analytics, send them to this blog post. And what happened is over time, I was able to bring other people on to do certain things in the business. So I was able to bring on an account manager to, you know, answer questions and manage clients' expectations. I was able to train one of our VAs to run our website care plan business using Managed WP. I was able to train a bookkeeper how to do the books. I was able to train, which was actually my wife at the time, I was able to train developers how to develop websites using advanced custom fields the way that I like them developed. I was able to train our designers how to design prototypes that I'd built using WooThemes Canvas way back when. So all these things I was able to train other people to do because I'd written out the documentation and I'd worked out a process that I went through that enabled me to produce a predictable and a repeatable result to the client, and for me to be able to do that so that the business still made a profit. That is where it all started for me back at the start of 2012, is when I started documenting these processes and sort of really started putting systems in the business. And of course, all of that documentation and systemization became the WP Elevation Blueprint, which we now teach all of our members in the program.
Yeah. I think a lot of key parts there, but that it's repeatable and that it helps generate revenue and profit for the business.
Yep.
I think there's a big tendency to just systemize for the sake of systemizing something. Like, oh, I'm doing this all the time, so I should systemize this. But if it's not bringing in revenue or saving you a ridiculous amount of time, then there's no point in doing it just yet. That can be a system for later. Focus on the things that are repeatable, you can deliver a consistent result to your clients, and that are going to generate revenue for the business. They're the kinds of things that you need to systemize. And until you have those repeatable results that you can get for your clients systemized, then don't systemize anything else.
Yep. That's right.
And
so one thing we need to systemize is making sure the microphones are turned on before we go live.
That's it.
Now, we've got that documentation written, but obviously there's not a visible checklist in the room that says, have you done this before you go live? And that's one of the processes now that we need to fix as soon as we finish the show, so make sure that doesn't happen again in the future. Yeah. So when things break, or when you are just overwhelmed with what's going on in the business, that's when it's time to say, okay, I need to systemize this so I can train someone else how to do it. Christina Hawkins says, I live for systems and processes and checklists. It's helped me grow and build my net profit by 200% in 2017. That's not revenue, kids, that's net profit. That is money in your pocket at the end of the year once you've paid all your expenses, delivered value to your clients, actual money that you get to pay tax on in your pocket at the end of the year. She doubled her net profit in 2017 through systems and processes and checklists.
Yeah. So what you were talking about before with, you know, we're going to improve the process for this show. Now, this show is on at the same time each week. There's a set of things that we do leading up to it. We've got a format for the show. It is a repeatable thing that delivers a consistent result. So it's very easy to tweak and improve things from week to week. If you are selling custom websites and you're trying to systemize that, but each time you sell something different that you don't know how to do, like what are the chances you're going to be able to actually deliver a consistent result and systemize that and delegate that?
Well, there's parts of it that can be done. So let me explain.
Absolutely.
And now, first of all, the processes and the systems and the checklists we've got running here at Silence is Gold are obviously working because when I was in Sydney, B, the week after when I was sick, the show still went on.
You've got great talent too, so
That's
that helps, I think.
Correct. I know. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
I was talking about
the show, right. Now, what you can do is you can systemize and process the way that you take a brief from a client. So let's say you're building a bespoke website. It's a custom website. You can systemize a couple of things. A, the way you take a brief from a client. We call that go wide, go deep, right? So you use a go wide, go deep session. Maybe you even run a paid discovery session. You take a very detailed brief from the client. You can systemize that and train other people how to do it. Two, you can then systemize your development workflow. So you come back to the office and say, right, actually, the next part you would systemize is writing the proposal, which you can do. We've done that in WP Elevation, and we have proposal templates for that, right? Once the job's been approved, you then can systemize the development workflow. Even on a large custom website, the first thing you would do is build a prototype. Without getting into the design, build a prototype. That's part of the process, right? Once we've got the prototype approved, then we would get the UI designed by our designers based on the prototype, yes? Then we would build any advanced complexity and advanced complex functions using advanced custom fields, for example. Now, if we use ACF, we don't go use pods, we don't go use types and toolkit or whatever else we're using. We use ACF to do our complex functionality. That's the way we do things here. Now, you might decide, we're not that kind of shop. We just build things in Beaver Builder, and that's what we do. So if a project comes in that is outside the scope and you can't use Beaver Builder for it, then you say no, you pass on it. Because if you try and build that project and then try and get your head around ACF in the process of building that project, you're going to eat up all your profitability because you're on a learning curve and the client's paying you to learn how to do it. So you can systemize, even though each outcome will be slightly different and slightly unique to each customer, you can systemize the approach and the workflow that you adopt to go through it.
That's right, yeah. So you're talking more like high-level systems, and I think that's really important to get sorted first in your business, like not what email do we send and exactly what do we say and when do we send that. That's really getting into the process and the nitty-gritty side of things. So at a high level, this is the kind of stuff I just map out on a whiteboard. Like just, you know, we talked about this show, I think, on a napkin.
Yeah, that's
over
right.
lunch.
That's right.
Like how it works and like how it fits into the ecosystem.
That's correct. And what we mapped out was what this looks like on the front end, which I drew on one side of the napkin, and on the other side, we drew a bunch of dashboards to tell us which stats we would be looking at that inform what kind of show this is. So we looked at YouTube subscribers, we looked at SEO keywords, we looked at Google Analytics, we looked at conversion rates, we looked at what this all means in order for this show to be successful. We literally mapped it out on the back of a napkin. I call it a broad brushstroke. Right, so you have a broad brushstroke as like, this is the thing that I need to systemize. Very loosely, it looks like this. It's maybe 3 or 4 bullet points. And then over time, you can dive in and flesh out the details. But you don't need all the details to begin with.
It'll actually hinder your growth if you're doing all the details to start with, because it's just going to take forever. So start really wide and get the overall system, is what I like to call the overall one. It's not anywhere near as cool as broad brushstrokes. And then each individual part of the system, a step such as the prototype, then becomes a process, or it's full of multiple processes. And actually, Charlie Valho, which is one of our members as well, who actually did some of the Facebook ads for WP Elevation once upon a time, actually taught me a framework about a process for creating a process as well. And this is like adapted from, I think Troy might have taught Charlie and also Dave Jennings from System Hub. So I've got a bit of an amalgamation of the process for creating a process that I've just put together in Google Docs for everyone to just have a look at, duplicate, tweak it, and you know, use it for building your own processes, basically. I like to use Google Docs because it's easy and it does the job. You know, it's not perfect for everything you need, but it will definitely do the job to get you started. So just focus on that and stop buying all the tools. So we start off with a summary of like what's the outline of the overall process and where does it fit in.
Oh, we've got our screen sharing back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Makes me very happy.
I think it's just because I turned onto the right Wi-Fi.
Right.
That was the
Beautiful.
thing that was wrong.
Love it.
Again, we've got to improve the process, right?
Love it.
So the outcome, what's the end result of completing this process? Why is it important?
Yep. That's a
What
big
you
one.
need before you get started.
Yep.
Right? Like access to this, this, and this. Because you
Yep.
can't even do anything if you don't have access to the
Yep.
WordPress. What are the overview? I really like to do the overview. What are the top level steps that we're going to do? And then I put together a video of it actually being done. Now my team actually do the videos now. So if my team are working on optimizing a website, they'll record it, and then I'll have someone else in the team actually systemize that.
Yep.
And then we get into the steps. So you've got the main step, and then you've got the sub steps. So keep this nice and broad. You don't have to go so specific. You can always improve this later.
Yeah.
What done looks like. Well done. Now get up and have a stretch.
Awesome, love it. There's a couple of things there I really like. We used to, and there's a couple of things I know that we've talked about over the years. Part of our when we were using Process Street, it's really important. We used to start off with why this is important and what finished looks like.
Right.
So that the team member knows, hey, I've done the job because it looks like how you've told me it's supposed to look. The other thing that I've learned over the years about systems is that if you say to someone, open the file in Photoshop and let's remove the green screens, you don't need to have a screenshot that goes Photoshop file open. Like if your team member can't open a file in Photoshop, then you've either got them in the wrong seat or you haven't given them enough training. So you don't need to document every single granular step. It's what's the minimum you need to give them to let them go from A to Z, and this basically is supporting documentation that lets them go from A to Z. There will always be questions that come up, and there will always be improvements you can make to the process. But you don't need to go into every tiny little detail.
That's right. Yeah. Otherwise, it would just take forever.
Yeah. Melanie Adcock says, I recommend Getting Things Done: The Art of Stress-Free Productivity by David Allen to help you fine-tune your workday. I have read that book. I bought the home study course. It is a fantastic resource. If you haven't read it, Getting Things Done by David Allen. It's a whole mindset. It's a whole approach to being productive. And it really revolves around, either, if something can be done in less than 2 minutes, just do it. Otherwise, delegate it. Otherwise, defer it. Otherwise, delete it. They're really the 4 Ds, which are really kind of the core of David Allen's Getting Things Done methodology. Strongly recommend reading that book. It is one of the few books that I've read over the years which has helped me make a mental leap forward. E-Myth was one of them, of course. Think and Grow Rich. Getting Things Done by David Allen are those books that kind of really allowed me to evolve in a big way and had a big impact.
Yep. It's a good one.
Cool. What do we got here?
Well, we're going to have to segue into it somehow.
Yes. I think,
What's
Simon,
this here?
there might be a tool that allows us to help us systemize our WordPress business.
Get ready for Tool of the Week.
I love a good tool.
Now, I really tried to not give a tool that actually is a project management tool or a to-do list tool or a process creation tool, but instead the tool that I want to share with you is a completed process checklist by Human Made on a website pre and post launch checklist.
Is this by Human Made?
It is. Oh, maybe not
I don't
Human
think
Made.
it is.
Oh, it's
by
Human.
Human. It's by Human.
Oh, God, how dare I?
I love
it's
this
so
though.
nicely
I love
designed
this
that I
checklist.
thought this was Human Made.
Yeah, no,
There
it's
you
not.
go.
But I do love this checklist.
It's made by humans. It's a really nice checklist. Looks quite beautiful. So this is a bit different to a process. So this is the checklist. So this is getting a bit specific, but it also doesn't get ridiculously specific, as in all text free from spelling errors. Like you could get much more detailed, but like how detailed do you really need to be? You should be able to go in, check these things off, and help you launch your website better.
Yeah, that's the outcome. All text free from spelling errors is the outcome. There's a number of ways you could do that. You could use Grammarly. You could run the website through a spelling and grammar check. There's a number of ways you can do that. Doesn't really matter how you get there. You just need, that's the outcome you need. Page and content formatting appropriate on all pages. That means very different things for different projects. But this is where my friend Nick Thakalau, Nick, how you doing? From Lead Quizzes and Run My Biz, one of the guys that Dave Jennings introduced me to over the years. We hung out with him in San Diego, did some masterminding a couple of years ago, and he's had a big impact on me. And one of the things he talks about is using robots or systems, tools, software to scale the business, and using human beings to be creative, right? Tapping into the creativity of human beings. So this is like a robot. This checklist is kind of like an automated software robot thing that allows the human being to be creative. Pages and content formatting appropriate on all pages, awesome. That's different things for different projects. Let the human being be creative, but the tool here is to help the human being get the desired outcome.
Yeah, cool. That's a really good point. I like it. So this is just some inspiration for creating a checklist, and you know, don't go overboard with being so specific with your systems, but take the resources that we've provided today and improve your WordPress business. We'd love to know what it is that you've found useful from this episode and what it is that you're going to systemize, or if you're having trouble with systemizing something specifically, let us know and we'll see if we can help you get unstuck.
The other thing that has occurred to me this week, Simon, is that we've spoken a little bit about WordPress stuff, but we also have kind of touched on the broader sort of digital marketing space, talking about Beaver Funnels, talking about MailChimp landing pages. I'm curious to know if you guys want just specific WordPress related information, or if you want more broad information around being a digital marketing consultant. How do you guys identify? Do you identify as WordPress consultants? Do you identify as digital marketing consultants? We'd love to hear your feedback so that we can know how to make this show better for you guys in the future.
Yeah. Sounds great, because there is a lot of content on the internet, and we'd like to bring you the stuff that's going to be useful and it's going to help you out. So let us know, please.
Awesome. Hey, we're almost out of time. Please subscribe to us on YouTube at wplelevation.com/YouTube. This is where we put the replays of this and also our how-to videos and our behind-the-scenes videos. Like us on Facebook. wplelevation.com/Facebook is where you can find this. Share it with your friends. Share it with your grandma. Share it with your mum. My mum's actually coming into Melbourne this afternoon from her hometown of Adelaide, my hometown of Adelaide. She's coming over to visit her grandson, my son, Oscar, for a week.
Very nice.
If she was here now, I would have dragged her into the studio and introduced her, but she's currently in Adelaide about to get on a plane. So my mum tunes in and loves the show.
Yeah.
So share this with your mum and your grandma and any other friends that you think might be interested in it. And we look forward to seeing you again next week on Silence is Golden. Until then, I'm Troy Dean.
I'm Simon Kelly.
And you should go elevate.